Hey guys, this is Guy D. Bill, and I've decided to stop doing videos on a daily basis, so this will be my last daily video. And my reason being that I noticed that the inner pendulum of self and other was swinging too far towards other. I was giving too much and not receiving enough, so the exchange was out of balance. And now I'm withdrawing some of that energy back inward, back towards my own four elements: the earth element, water, air, and fire elements. These are the body, the emotions, the intellect, and the spirit. So it's important to get these things in balance and to master them rather than allow them to master you. Anyone who meditates knows just how much mastery their mind and their body and their emotions tend to have over them, because when they start trying to cultivate the fire element, their spirit, they see that their mind comes up with all these things to think about that may or may not be related to the meditation itself. Thoughts about the past and the future, and their emotions, how they feel about all these memories, come up to the surface, and their body will come up with lots of complaints. My knee hurts, my back hurts, all these sort of things. This is what anyone who's tried even a little bit of meditation can attest to. And then there are people who all they want to do is meditate, as if it's some sort of escape from their mind, their body, and their emotions. But that is approaching meditation with the wrong intention. That is when the fire element is out of balance. That's when the fire element is controlling you. So you don't want to be controlled by any of these four elements. See, a person who's controlled by the body, by the earth element, they'll think about nothing but material things, about sex, about money, about food. All these things, I'm not criticizing these things, it's just that if that's all you're thinking about, then you are controlled by the earth element. And then there are people who are addicted to drama, who are ruled by the water element. You don't want to be ruled by your emotions, because they can lead you to all kinds of insanity. So you want to control your emotions rather than your emotions controlling you. And then there are people who are ruled by the air element, who allow their thoughts to control them. These are people who every time they have a thought, they decide that they must follow it, or it doesn't even seem like a decision, it's just an instinct, it's just a habit. They aren't even aware a lot of the time that they even have a choice. And the idea that not following their thoughts is even an option is alien to them. So it's important to rein these elements in, to master them, to control them, to put them in their proper place. Because you are the master, you are a sovereign being. You have free will. And if you don't exercise your free will, then you'll forever be going around and around in circles, controlled by one of these four elements. And you might be controlled in this lifetime predominantly by the air element, and in another lifetime it might be the earth element. But any time that you're soul is caught up in one of these elements at the expense of neglecting the development and mastery of the other elements, then you'll be out of balance and you'll suffer. So how can we master these elements then? Well, this comes down to self-awareness. There's no master key except for the key of free will and the key of discernment. Now, discernment or wisdom is not to be confused with knowledge. Knowledge is the domain of the intellect, whereas wisdom is the domain of the soul. See, knowledge can be very useful, but Jesus said, cast the net to the right-hand side, which, if you interpret it literally, it just seems rather strange. Why would Jesus be talking about casting a net to the right side? Why would his followers think that that was important to document? What's all this business about fishing? Why is fishing so important? But Jesus was not an ordinary fisherman, he was a fisher of men. He was teaching men how to meditate. Casting the net to the right side means to get out of the stranglehold that the left hemisphere of the brain has on you and to go over to the right hemisphere. See, there's nothing wrong with using your left brain. It produces all kinds of scientific and technological innovation. The left hemisphere, the air element, has done so much for humanity. But we've reached a point now where it, to a large extent, rules over us. How many people are attached to their smartphones? Right now I'm using my smartphone to film a video. It's easy for us to become controlled by the air element. And Jesus was teaching in the age of Pisces. Pisces the fish, and he was the fisherman. So now we're in the age of Aquarius, so we've gone from the water sign. See, religion was a very big thing in the age of Pisces. It was about emotions and controlling people through fear. It was about domination and submission to power structures. This is all water element stuff. Now we live in a time of the air element, where people don't care so much about your guilt trips. People are interested in what knowledge you have, especially if it's scientific knowledge, and this is the age of Aquarius. We've just crossed the threshold from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. So now people have a lot of respect for the intellect, for the air element. This is the age of the individual. Age of Pisces was the age of the collective, of the so-called greater good, which basically meant self-sacrifice, subservience to a higher power, which no one knew directly. They all had to rely on a priest. But now you can connect with the spirit inside of you, that fire element that dwells within you. It says in the Bible that the Lord your God is an all-consuming fire. See, when you meditate, it's this fire that consumes all the thoughts. See, what does fire feed on? It feeds on oxygen or air, right? So when you meditate, the fire element, it burns up all of the thoughts, all of the intellectualizing about things. And this is what we need to bring that pendulum swing back to the center point. See, we're on autopilot a lot of the time, using the left hemisphere of our brain. And in order to come back to the center, we need to intentionally swing over to the right side. The right side is ruled by intuition. And then in the center, where the pineal gland is located, where your third eye is, your single eye, that brings the left and the right together. And this is why it also says in the Bible, if your eye is single, then your body shall be filled with light. See, a lot of these biblical teachings, people don't know what they mean because they're not supposed to be interpreted literally, they're symbolic. They are esoteric. Esoteric means the inner circle. It's like a donut. The outer part of the Bible is exoteric. This is for the sheep. This is for the masses. This is used to control people. The exoteric teaching. It's the donut. It's the visible part. See, the center of the donut is invisible. It is known only to the wise, only to those with discernment, only to the inner circle. But see, we've lost wisdom in our modern age. People think that they know everything, and look, they do have a lot of knowledge of material things. People have a lot of knowledge of the earth element, and the water element to some extent, and the air element. But how much do they know about the spirit? See, spirituality is a process, it's a verb. It's not a thing, it's not an object. Religion, on the other hand, is something that calcifies in time, and it's based upon spirituality. See, a true spiritual teacher comes along every so often, and nowadays you'll find more and more of them, because in this age of Aquarius, the age of the individual, people don't trust what the religions say. They look within for answers, and the best that a spiritual teacher can do now is to help a person to look within. They can't do the work for them. So religion is what happens when people encounter a spiritual teacher and then they think, oh wow, this is good, these insights, they're onto something here. This person is a prophet, this person's a messiah, they're the chosen one. They must have a direct connection with God, which no one else has. But we can all have this same connection to God, to spirit, to our soul, to that all-consuming fire within us. See, the kingdom of God is within us is another teaching of Jesus. But how often do we hear people who are Christians say that God is in heaven, up above, and that you have to die to go to heaven? Well, I'm telling you, you don't have to die. In fact, the only death that needs to occur is the death of your old self, your old way of seeing the world. The Tower of Babel, where we babble on about things that we don't know about, talking from the left hemisphere of the brain instead of our intuitive right hemisphere. So, religion and spirituality are not to be confused for one another. I mentioned this in a previous video. People often discard religion, as they should in this new age. But to discard spirituality, to discard the process of your evolution as a sovereign spiritual being is a mistake. It's a huge mistake. And I'm not here to threaten you with hellfire, because that's what religion does. And that doesn't help anyone. That is just to control people. Look, I understand that. But I'm here to encourage you to look within and to not take for granted this rare opportunity that we have as human beings in this time to evolve. Because normally evolution, especially in ages of water, the age of Pisces, which we're just emerging from, in those sort of ages, there's not really a lot of time for spiritual growth. But now, in the age of Aquarius, there's so much opportunity, but it all comes down to your choice, your free will. Are you going to keep doing things that your old self tells you to do? Are you going to keep building the tower to heaven? Or are you going to start looking within? Are you going to start seeing the world in a new way, in a new light? Are you going to start being guided by the inner light, to close your two outer eyes, and to see things with your single eye? When the eye is single, your body shall be full of light. So, I hope this video has given you some food for thought. I've talked on a much deeper level in this video than I have in previous videos. But I'm not holding back anymore with my spiritual knowledge, because there's so much to be learnt at this point in time, and so much to be mastered, that we don't have time to waste. And this is why I will leave this video on YouTube for those who are receptive to the message. But in the meantime, I need to go back to my own inner cultivation, so that when I come back to share my next message, it will have more power, more depth, more clarity than even this one. Thanks for listening, guys.